Alrighty team, hope everyone's having a good day. I just have a break from the regularly scheduled vlogs to bring this glass painting anime tutorial. I learned how to do this during COVID when everyone else kind of did, and now it's just kind of fun for me to do every once in a while, so I filmed this, I don't remember when, a few months ago I think, a couple months ago at least. And yeah, I just kind of go through and show how to make one of these fun little glass paintings. Of course, the first one I showed was One Piece, Luffy and Zoro, just a little fun chibi, I think that's what it's called. And then this one's Ippo Makunouchi from Hajime no Ippo, of course. And yeah, just one of my favorite animes. And I have about, if you look at some of my older videos, I have a bunch of these paintings on my last apartment wall. And yeah, they're just really fun to make. And I have a whole list of all the characters I want to make eventually one day. So just kind of, yeah, working through that list. So now that I've been blabbering on and haven't really been talking about how to do it, the first thing I do is print out a picture that I would like to, draw, and then I get it to be the right size of my piece of glass, and I use these little plastic glass pieces that go in frames, but I never put them in frames, so glass is easily breakable, so I just get these little plastic ones on Amazon, and then I size the picture to be the right size so it fits on the frame correctly, and then I mirror the image so that when it prints out and I tape it to the back of this glass, it ends up being right side up when I flip it around and do everything. So the first step after you mirror it and tape it to the back of this glass is to trace it with a black paint pen, and I use a specific brand. I think I showed it at the beginning, so that brand works really well just to get a super fine line. And yeah, it's just literally a black paint pen that you use to trace over. You can do all the lines if you want, or just the major lines like what I do. And then make sure you let that dry first because it's paint, so it takes a second to dry before you actually start going in with the paint. So then here I am painting, and I always start with white, and I like to use a toothpick because obviously it's the kind of the finest tip that I can find. Paintbrushes don't really work well because you want a thick glob of paint, so the toothpick works really well. Would recommend using that. And yeah, I just go in. I have my phone up with the original picture, and this original picture was black and white, so it doesn't help that much, but it does help show you where the shadows and the lighter colors and all just the colors in general, where they should go. So just kind of follow the picture or follow the thing you printed on back of the glass as it's all taped down and everything. You can kind of just follow along with those lines that are on there. Or if you traced all of the lines, then you can just go in and fill it in pretty much. I don't tend to trace every line because I like to just do a little freehand with the shadows and everything. So it's a little more difficult to not trace every line, but I think it looks better if you do a little freehanding. And yeah, of course the toothpick works perfect for that. And I don't have many paint colors, but I do have the main ones, and I just kind of mix the colors. Add some whites, add some blacks, add some browns, just kind of, you can go crazy and just have fun being creative and making the colors that you want to use. Have any of you seen Hajime no Ippo? It's boxing, of course. I don't know if you saw the picture at the beginning with his fist out, but one of the best sports anime ever created, in my opinion, and the manga is still ongoing, which is crazy because I think it's longer than One Piece at this point, if I'm not mistaken. I think it has about 1,400 chapters, and One Piece is at about 1,200, so yeah, longer than One Piece, which might be one of the longest manga ever. But the show is really good, and the show has not been continued for quite some time now, but the part that they did animate was really fun to watch. It's obviously training inspired, Ippo is kind of a beginner boxer, and he just works his way up to eventually becoming really good and just, getting closer with the teammates, things like that. And all the while he's helping his family on the side with their fishing business because, I won't spoil everything, but just really wholesome. And it's also just really funny with the teammates and everything. Their dynamics are great, and the characters some of them are a bit older, so it's not like you're watching kids like a lot of these other anime. It's kind of easier to relate to the older characters. So, would recommend watching this one if you have not seen it already. So here I am just holding it up to the light to make sure there's no spots that I left open, because it's easy to not go as thick as you need to, and then when you hold it up to the light you can see where you need to add another layer or where a little spot you forgot around the paint pen. Just make sure it's dry enough so that when you hold it up, it doesn't start dripping down. And this whole thing only takes about, I think it took me 2 hours maybe, and this one was not more detailed than usual, but a little more detailed because I didn't trace all the lines like I said earlier, so it did take a little longer than the One Piece one, even though it has less colors. But even 2 hours isn't that much time. So just going in very tediously back and forth with the toothpick to get the paint in exactly the right spots. Because you can't really, if you mess up, you can't really wipe off the paint because it's, the areas that you're getting the paint in are so small that you can't really use anything to get that paint out, and it kind of starts to dry immediately on that plastic surface. So you don't want to mess up, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. You can always add more paint, but you can't take it off, so that's why the toothpick is also good. You can just add little by little and be very in control of where the paint goes. And I think I'm going in with the black now, and black is of course always the last thing to go. Ippo has a lot of black on him with his hair and some of the shadows, so yeah, I definitely waited till the last second to do the black because you don't want it to have any chance of mixing with the white or the skin color or anything like that and messing those up or muddying them up, so I always do the black last. And for shadows, start with the white of course, add a little black to get a gray, add another little black to get darker gray, or if you're doing a different color, just add kind of black and get it darker and darker until you're finally on the last color, which is always black. Yeah, now I'm just doing the finishing touches. Holding it up to the light, flipping it around, seeing how it looks from the front, and just making sure every surface is completely saturated and covered and super thick. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All you really need is tape, that specific glass thing that I order off Amazon, paint, and whatever you want to use to paint, which is toothpicks for me, so cheap. And then of course paint pens, which are pretty cheap as well. I think I've had the same 2 paint pens since 2020 and I haven't had to buy a new one because they still got the juice in them. So yeah, that's it. If you guys want to make, or if you want to see me make another one, let me know, because I love making these and they're easy to video. So ripping that sucker off is the most satisfying. Boom. Now Ippo will be with me forever. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later.